Hello and welcome to the latest instalment of my plumbing tutorials. On this episode I'm going to be showing you how to install a Basin mixer onto a basin. The Basin mixer we are using today is an Alterna Parenzo. They're made by the company Bristan, but as you'll find with most Basin mixers these days, they're all much of a muchness and have a similar fixing procedure and sequence. These are relatively high pressure taps. I think it's 0.5 of a bar, so I wouldn't recommend anybody that has a gravity fed system. So that is a system where you might have tanks in the loft for using these taps. These are for people that are running a combi boiler basically. Anyway, I'll leave a description to the taps down below. They're pretty good value. They're available from Graham's Plumbers Merchants, and I'll be just showing you a really quick and easy method so as you can do it at home. As ever, please only do this if you're doing it at home if you've isolated the hot and cold water first. I don't want you creating a leak and creating a flood in your house. I've got another video, just search down my list of videos, that shows you how to isolate your water supply to your taps. Okay, without further ado, this is how we fit the taps. Here's the box itself. I've already opened it, which you can see there. It comes with a waste. I'll probably do a separate video on how to fit a waste, but it also comes with a ring which creates a seal that will basically go that way up and seal on there, and a bolt pack and the flexies which will attach to the base of the tap, and the hot and cold water will feed through those. Not many tools required for this at all. I've got a tap spanner which you'll see there, a screwdriver, flat-headed one for this, and some adjustable grips, which I'm probably not going to use at all. I'm just not going to need them, basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get this stuff unwrapped now and start to put it on the basin. This is a cast basin. It's basically an acrylic basin, a resin sort of composite, but it doesn't matter whether you're going through porcelain or resin or anything else for that matter. The premise is exactly the same. Everything's been removed from its packaging now. You can see that these have, the taps have threaded holes. The two larger threaded holes are where the flexi pipes are going to go. You'll see there's a thread on the end there, and that thread is basically going to go up inside there, and we'll tighten it. Now, it's very important, as she says in the instructions, that when you do place these inside and you start to tighten them up, that you only hand tighten it. You don't want to get them grips over there and over tighten. The reason being is this ring here that you can just see round there. That can easily break if it's over tightened. It's enough to hand tighten it and put it inside, and that will make a perfectly adequate seal. You can actually see there it's going in. I'm just going to hand tighten it as much as I dare. Literally, my hand can't tighten it anymore. And that's done. That's in. Now, before you put this one in alongside it, I suggest you take your ring and you push your ring up over one. Reason being is once they're both in, you're going to really struggle to get both of those through there because it's just not wide enough. So that one is already on. And then with this second one, I'll just pop that through there. And that will allow me to thread the second one, which I'll just tighten in the same way that you saw me do the previous one. Okay, they are both tightened as I described. The next thing you want to do is to take these bolts. Now, the idea of these bolts is the bolts, here's the basin there. If you look, the bolts will actually, basically the top section will go up inside the tap, and the next section will basically grip and pull it underneath. So what we've got to do is place these bolts inside the tap itself. Now, you probably noticed that there were two additional holes. If you just excuse me, you probably noticed the two additional holes there. You just see them? Just there. It's quite hard to do this one-handed whilst holding the camera, so you'll have to excuse me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread in those threads there. You see this here? That's going to go inside. Basically tighten that down. Now I'm going to have to use two hands to do this. I'm not going to get in, but you might notice at the top there is a thread, and on top of the thread there's a groove, which is a screwdriver groove. If you look at that there, actually that is in there. This one you don't have to hand tighten. It is actually advisable you get the screwdriver in the groove there. Just move this to one side. Hopefully you'll be able to see it a little better. Get that screwdriver in there and tighten that up like so. Okay, I'm just going to do both of those now without holding the camera at the same time. That is both of those done. The one thing remaining is just to take both these bolts off, because they are going to need to be underneath, basically. And that is what it's going to look like. Now, here's the ends of the flexi hoses, which are going to be the hot and cold inlet. You can see that's where the water will pass through. There's the basin. That's the underside of the basin. So these are going to pass through. This is the top side of the basin. You have to do them one at a time, otherwise you will not get them through. It's a tight fit. There we go. And they're going to pop through there. Now, if we place it all the way through the tap, don't worry at this point if the tap's a bit wonky and it's not quite on straight or whatever. You just want to get it through to this point. Now, you'll see where the two bolts are passing through. You might remember this. I showed you this earlier when I opened the pack. This is going to go on there. See where the two holes in the gasket, the rubber gasket, they go over the two bolts, and then you'll see the metal clip. It's very important that the rubber goes on first before the metal clip, because the rubber is there to protect the basin. Once we tighten this up, we don't want the metal pressing against this nice basin there. The next thing that happens is we'll just hand tighten for the moment. Just get them on so it holds it in position. There's one bolt. She's not quite fully on yet, and then we'll get the other bolt, which again is going to go on there. There we go. So if I just leave it like that now, it's being held on. The tap's not going to fall off. It can be turned around. You can move it. It's a little bit wobbly, but that's fine. We'll move it into the position in its final resting place. You know, pretty near to the end. This is where your tap spanner comes in. Now, obviously, I'm a plumber and I do this stuff all the time, so I have a tap spanner which will just go over there, and that's the exact same size as the nut. It's the right tool for the job. If you don't have one, don't worry, it's not the end of the world, because you've got access here. A little adjustable will do the trick just as well. Okay, it might take a little longer to tighten up, might be a little bit more fiddly, but it will do the job. The problem you're going to have is if you're going into a basin that's already set on top of a cupboard, or a basin as a pedestal, then you're going to find it hard to get your arm in and underneath, and that's where these little tools are really worth their weight in gold. It's not much money either, so £5 for a set of two, which covers 4 different sizes. Right, now what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to turn the basin around, and I'm going to make sure it's completely lined up and in the right position. Before I do that, obviously I'm going to tighten these up fully. Now, you can hand tighten to a certain extent. That's about as hard as I can tighten with my hand. It's not going to be quite tight enough though. Over time, the taps will work their way loose. And you can see even as hand tighten, the tap can move left and right. That's why I've got my screwdriver there as well. I'll put the screwdriver in there. And I'll basically tighten it like so, just to give it a little bit of extra tension on there. I'm just going to tighten that up by hand and just balance the taps up. Now, as I'm sure you can see, the taps are not correctly aligned with the basin. They're slightly tilted this way. So I'm going to turn them back into their central position. Once you're happy that it's completely aligned and is symmetrically positioned, then you can actually go and tighten up. Obviously, this doesn't matter. It's going to move left and right anyway. What's important is the head of the tap, the front of the tap, is straight down the centre of the basin. So I'm going to get it into that position. Then I'm going to tighten the taps up into the final, just like I showed you with the screwdriver. Make them tight enough to the touch when somebody uses a tap. You don't want to, when just in the course of using the tap, pushing it on and off, to be able to move it left or right. If that happens, it's fine now because I can get underneath it, but once this is set in its home, then I'm going to obviously not want to have to get up behind it. So now is the time to tighten it correctly when it's in its correct position, and hopefully you never have to do so again. Okay, the tap is now in position, it's fully aligned, the basin is on the top, and as you see, it's a lot easier for me to put the taps on before I put the basin in. If your basin's already in, you're looking to replace your taps, and you're going to have to do exactly what I just did, but under here, and it's not, you've got a confined working space. The next thing I've got to do is, here is your hot, here is your cold. They need to be connected up to the hot and the cold feeds, and then of course we need to run the waste from here and then link it in with the rest of the plumbing, but that's actually a completely separate video, I think, so I'll just leave this one as in the taps themselves. There's actually going to be dual basins. There's another one to go on there. We've got a little shower area behind me, which you can hopefully see that there, and a little recess here where the toilet's going. Anyway, please do subscribe. If you just click the link in the corner, it will subscribe you to all our future videos. I'm going to try and get a tutorial on here which covers pretty much everything, so just everything you need to do in plumbing. You've seen the hot and the cold on the basin. There's another video which is how to connect hot and cold to isolation valves. You're going to need to know how to do isolation valves before you work out how to do the tap anyway, so I'd suggest going in and having a look at that video. If you've got any questions, please do leave them in the comments below. I'll try and answer as many as I possibly can, and until next time, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and please, if you can, give this video a thumbs up because it really helps. Thanks very much.